Today on Facing Life Head On.
I felt there wasn't anybody that had been in my shoes. Like, who can I talk to about this? Who knows what this is like? I mean, to be pregnant, yes. To be raped, maybe some people. But both together, I thought that it was just such an unheard of situation.
Due to unexpected pregnancies, more than 1 out of every 4 babies conceived is killed by abortion. But our story this week is about women who choose life instead, some even in the face of severe criticism and pressure. We met 3 of these heroes. Tasha Danvers-Smith, who 3 months before she was expected to compete and take home a medal in the Olympics, found out she and her husband were pregnant with baby Jaden. Barnett, who at the age of 19 became pregnant with baby Maria after the horror of an assault rape, and Jennifer Hanselman, who for weeks on end endured a doctor's pressure to abort 3 of the sextuplets in her womb. We met Jennifer and her husband in their Ohio home.
It wasn't a very rosy picture that the doctors or, my knowledge was painting for me that, this just isn't normal and doesn't have a very happy ending, or chances of that are very slim.
And the doctor gave us a big fat stack of information. He said, really, there's no way that you can carry sextuplets even if you want to. And he gave us lots of statistics of all the terrible birth defects and bad outcomes that could happen if we tried to carry that many. And, there was a lot of things that would put my health at risk too, and there was a good chance that I would not make it as well.
So your doctor suggested selective reduction?
Yes.
Yes.
That was the only option that he really gave us, was selective reduction. He wanted us to go and speak to a doctor who did that procedure, and he explained that, they go in with the ultrasound and put a needle full of poison in the baby's heart, and basically you pick which ones, and then you watch, and you can see on the ultrasound when their heart stops beating. And immediately my thought was, I can't do that. I can't live with that choice the rest of my life.
So to be clear, selective reduction is aborting babies down to whatever number you choose to have
Yes,
them.
and they recommended that we reduce to either twins or at most triplets to give the rest of the babies the best chance. And scientifically, that is the best thing to do, but in our hearts, morally, we knew we couldn't do that.
Yeah. There was a line from Star Wars that I remember as soon as the doctor told me that one was, once you start down the trail to the dark side, forever will it dominate your destiny. And it was something that stuck with me the whole pregnancy. It was like, I can't do this. This is completely wrong.
28 and a half weeks into the high-risk pregnancy, Jennifer gave birth to 6 beautiful babies, the first sextuplets born in Ohio and the first in the nation to be completely healthy.
The kids came home one at a time over the course of 3 weeks, so we got a chance to get to know each one. We were kind of worried we wouldn't be able to tell them apart because they had no fat. When they were that little, they had absolutely no fat, and so they all looked a lot alike. But just bringing them home one at a time gave us a chance to sort of get to know them and get acquainted with their little quirks and things like that. And it was really hard to get used to those newborn stages again, because we'd gone through it with Connor and we're done with it this long time, and to get back into that routine where baby's crying in the night every 2 or 3 hours and wanting fed, oh, that was painful.
About the time the Hanselman babies went home, in Los Angeles, Tasha Danvers-Smith received news that she too was facing the unexpected. Tasha, a British runner and hurdler ranking 6th in the world, had recently married her American trainer Darrell. The two had their sights on the 2004 Summer Olympics in Athens. Tasha was expected to win big.
My personal best time that in 2003 put me 2nd on the list of greatest ever 400-meter hurdlers in Britain. So they're like, okay, Tasha can really do the business, and they were expecting great things in 2004. They definitely expected me to medal. Gold would have just been icing on the cake, but they definitely expected me to medal.
Then, 3 months before the Olympics, Tasha and Darrell found out they were pregnant. News that put their dreams of gold in question.
It's hard to even describe what it was like because it's such mixed emotions. Because Olympics is something, it's the ultimate goal of track and field, right? I mean, there's nothing more. Even the World Championships are not as high as the Olympics. You can't get any more than the Olympics. So everything you train for, even though there's competitions in between, Commonwealth Games, European Championships, World Championships, and so on and so forth, ultimately you're training for the Olympics. So if you feel like you're in the shape of your life, and then someone, knocks on the door and says, "Excuse me, by the way, everything you train for is now non-existent," it's really tough.
As pressure began to build, the two considered their options.
Before this situation, we never really talked about abortion per se and whether we thought it was wrong or right. So when it happened, it was like we didn't really have, okay, well, we've already decided abortion is out. And so we discussed it, and even to the point where we thought, okay, well, we'll book an appointment and then just see what happens. We weren't even really discussing things, we were just doing. And when we actually went through the process, it just didn't feel right. And we just knew that it wasn't right.
When we come back,
I woke up the next morning and I was in a different bed than I thought I was. I wasn't wearing any of my clothes that I'd been wearing the day before, and I just kind of panicked.
Thank you for inviting us into your home. Each week we feature real people who deal with real life issues head on. Some of their experiences are uplifting, while others will break your heart. But in the end, the message is clear. Those who follow biblical principles on the issues of life are blessed. Become a partner with us in providing a positive, life-affirming message to help change the way the next generation values innocent human life. Please consider a generous gift to help offset the costs of producing this important quality programming. You can donate on our secure website at facinglife.tv or by calling the phone number on your screen during normal business hours. Together, we can make a real difference for life.
when Tasha Danvers-Smith and her husband found out they were pregnant, just 3 months before Tasha was to compete for Olympic gold, they scheduled an appointment for an abortion. But shortly after, both agreed that was no longer an option.
Here we are standing there at the doorway, looking at success, and we had this conversation of we had to come to a decision, and then we had to change our mind about how we were discussing being pregnant. This is a blessing. You know, this is silly for us to sit here crying and heartbroken over an event that is sure to come again. In 4 years, there'll be another Olympic Games. Guaranteed, unless the world ends. But her getting pregnant is no guarantee. No guarantee. What if we made the other decision, had an abortion, and she was never able to get pregnant again? Then what?
Oof.
So when you looked at it like I said, common sense versus emotion. And when we looked at it that way, we knew we made the right choice.
As Tasha prepared to announce her pregnancy and withdraw from the Olympics, in South Dakota, Megan Barnett was also about to make a decision that would forever change her life. At age 19, Megan had been raised in a Catholic home, the only girl in the family. A recent high school graduate, she planned to attend the University of South Dakota in the fall. But over the 4th of July weekend, everything changed.
I was spending the night at my cousin's house, and there was just the two of us there, and we tried to invite some friends over, and nobody returned any of our phone calls except for this one guy, and we hadn't really met him more than, I think we met him twice before maybe. So we didn't know him very well, but he said he wanted to come over and hang out with us, and so he did. And I guess to make a long story short, I woke up the next morning and I was in a different bed than I thought I was. I wasn't wearing any of my clothes that I'd been wearing the day before, and I just kind of panicked. And then I kind of started remembering things and putting everything all together and found out that I had been raped in my cousin's home.
That morning, nurses at a local hospital offered Megan the morning after pill that would end a possible pregnancy. Megan's strong convictions led her to decline.
I just didn't like the sound of it. I didn't like the idea of it. I don't know, I just kind of had a weird feeling about it. And plus, I just also had this feeling that, you know, maybe I am pregnant, or maybe I will become pregnant from this. And I don't know, I just knew that not taking that would be a better choice, as opposed to taking it and always wonder, well, what if I would have gotten pregnant? I wouldn't want to live
with the doubts and questions?
Right.
Yeah. So at that point, did you feel that you might be pregnant?
Yeah, I sort of, I mean, honestly, I was like 99% sure. For some reason, I just felt it, I just knew it.
You never thought you'd be in this position ever, I'm sure.
Never.
Okay. And you made really good choices. But you ended up pregnant as a teenager. What was that like?
That was unbelievable. I mean, I just couldn't believe it. You never think it's going to happen to you, but especially me, because like at that time I didn't have a boyfriend. I made choices in my life that were going to lead me to the thought that I was never going to have to worry about that. You know, just from the things that I did and didn't do, I was never going to have to really worry about being a pregnant teenager.
Did it seem hugely unfair that you had to face this situation?
It did, more than unfair, more than unfair. It was just, first, I was angry at first. I felt there wasn't anybody that had been in my shoes. Like, who can I talk to about this? Who knows what this is like? I mean, to be pregnant, yes. To be raped, maybe some people, but both together, I thought that it was just such an unheard of situation. I felt very alone, and I was angry at the situation. When I was first pregnant, like, I was embarrassed to go anywhere. Well, not at first, because you couldn't really tell, but after, 5-6 months, I mean, obviously, I was having a baby, and I felt like I didn't want to go anywhere in town, because everybody knew me as kind of a quiet teenager. I wasn't really into the party scene. They wouldn't have never expected me to be walking around pregnant, and so I was really worried about what other people would say, and if they would jump to conclusions and, think all these terrible thoughts of me. But then once I realized more and more people they knew the story. I didn't really talk about it at first. I didn't say anything to anybody for a few months. And then once I realized that everyone kind of started understanding where I was coming from, everybody was so supportive, because I live in a small community. And just the way that everybody's reaction to me wasn't, oh, that's just terrible, I'm so sorry. It was like, this is going to be great. Like, everybody kind of was behind me, and I wasn't really expecting that. I wasn't thinking that they wouldn't be behind me, but the fact that they were so strongly was, I don't know, very reassuring.
A supportive circle makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Especially at a time like that.
Definitely.
While supporters gathered around Megan, in California, British track star Tasha Danvers-Smith and her husband were about to give birth to baby Jaden.
Through the pregnancy, I was thinking to myself, I'm going to be depressed the whole way through, because this wasn't what I planned. This isn't how I would have figured my life to be. So, but I'm telling you, it was just a complete sense of being at peace with our decision. There was no doubt from the minute we said the abortion was not an option. There was no doubt that it was the right choice.
Tell us about the day that Jaden was born.
He popped out looking more like Darrell than Darrell looks like himself. Definitely more like Darrell than Darrell looked like when he was a baby. It was bizarre. Even Darrell was like, how could anybody look more like me? It was incredible.
Well, now you've got this baby. How did it change your life?
The guy is amazing. He's just amazing. He has even changed the way I handle my sport, because I was not even a half as motivated as I am now. Not even necessarily because I'm like, oh, I got to do it for my son and all. It's just for the simple fact that I know what life is like without track now. He showed me, okay, this is the other side. You could have it this way if you don't, if you don't really want track that much. And I didn't really like that. I'm not really the 9-to-5 girl. So now I know what the other side, the flip side of it is. It's just, in addition to, of course, wanting to give him the best life I can possibly provide for him, it has really made me want to take it to the next level.
Since giving birth, Tasha has returned to her previous level of competition. she again has her sights set on competing in the Olympics, this time with a 3-year-old son cheering her on. When we come back, we check in with the Hanselman Sextuplets.
Whether you're a student needing answers, a parent needing help, or a concerned citizen wanting to make a difference, Life Issues Institute has the resources you need to put your values into action. Life Issues Institute is an international educational organization committed to protecting innocent human life. Life Issues Institute knows what it takes. That's why millions throughout the world turn here for help. Life Issues Institute has authored more pro-life publications than any other entity in the world, and its materials are printed in over 30 languages. Radio broadcasts, newsletters, and a website filled to the brim with the answers you're looking for are just a click away. Go to facinglife.tv and click on the link to Life Issues Institute to find out more about how you can change the heart of a nation.
When Keith and Jennifer Hanselman were told they were pregnant with sextuplets, doctors also advised them to choose 3 babies to abort, giving the others and Jennifer a higher chance of survival. But Keith and Jennifer stood strong for life and prepared to welcome home 6 new babies.
It scares me to think that we even pause to think about it, because I can't even imagine what life would be like without one of the kids. I can't even imagine who we would have chosen to get rid of, you know. It still really bothers me to think that we could have lost some of them. You know, we could have listened to what he said. We could have listened to the doctor and made a choice to get rid of some of these kids, and I can't even imagine who we would live without now.
Shortly after the sextuplets' first birthday, Megan Barnett in South Dakota gave birth to her baby, Maria. The result of rape, the pregnancy was one that Megan had been encouraged to stop through the use of the morning after pill. Today, Megan says she's still glad she said no to the pill and yes to life.
She's just the best thing that's ever happened to me. I would have never imagined that I would be as happy as I am today after going through what I have been through. I would never think that it would turn out this way. So it's just amazing. She's everything. She's everything to me. She means more to me than anything. She has changed my life in so many phenomenal ways. I now have a reason to go to school and, get my degree and to find a good job. Before, I was just doing it because I thought, well, I guess everybody goes to college after high school, so I guess I will too. But now I have a reason, and it's the best reason I can think of. I want to create a good life for her and for myself. And she's just made me see the importance